The day I said no changed my life.
The day I said no changed my life forever. For most of my life, I was the person everyone depended on. The reliable one, the helpful one, the good one. If someone needed money, they called me. If someone needed a favor, they called me. If someone made a mistake and needed saving, they called me. And every single time, I said yes, not because I always wanted to, but because I was terrified of disappointing people, terrified of conflict. People would stop loving me. And honestly, that fear controlled my entire life. By the time I turned 29, I was emotionally exhausted, financially drained, mentally overwhelmed. But nobody noticed, because when people get used to you sacrificing yourself, they stop seeing your pain. They only notice the moment you stop giving. My family depended on me constantly. My younger brother borrowed money almost every month. My mother expected me to solve every family emergency. Even my friends treated me like free emotional support 24 hours a day. And somehow, I convinced myself this was normal. That being needed meant being valued. But those two things are not the same. And I learned that lesson the hard way. One moment changed everything. It happened on a Thursday night after a 12-hour work shift. I had just gotten home. I was exhausted, mentally dead. I hadn't even taken my shoes off when my phone rang. It was my brother. Again, the second I answered, I already knew what was coming. "Hey man, I need a favor." Of course he did. Apparently, he had made another bad financial decision. Another emergency. Another situation he somehow expected me to fix. Something inside me finally broke. Not dramatically, quietly. Like a rope snapping after being stretched too long. For the first time in my life, I interrupted someone and said, "No." Silence. Complete silence. My brother actually thought he heard me wrong. "What?" And this time I said it again. "No." No excuses. No long explanation. Just no. And honestly, my heart started racing immediately. Because peoples who spend their entire lives pleasing others feel guilty the moment they choose themselves. At first, my brother laughed awkwardly. Then he became irritated. Then angry. "You're seriously gonna leave me struggling like this?" That sentence hit me hard, because suddenly I realized something painful. The people who benefit most from your lack of boundaries usually react the worst when you finally create them. I tried explaining calmly. I told him I was exhausted, financially stressed, mentally overwhelmed. But he barely cared, because in his mind, my role was to rescue him. That's who I had always been. And honestly, that realization hurt more than the argument itself. Did people actually love his to me, or did they just love access to me? That night, my mother called too. And somehow, I became the villain immediately. Should support each other. She said, families, selfish, cold, different, and maybe the old version of me would be apologized immediately. But this time, I stayed quiet. Because, deep down, I knew something they didn't want to admit. I had supported everyone for years. But nobody ever asked if I was okay. That realization changed me, not overnight. But slowly, painfully, I started noticing things I ignored before. Friends who only called when they needed something. Relatives who disappeared when I needed help. People who expected endless patience from me while giving almost nothing back. And honestly, once you start seeing that pattern, you can never fully unsee it again. The hardest part wasn't saying no. The hardest part was surviving people's reactions to it. Because when you stop overextending yourself, some people become angry simply because they lost convenience. Not because you hurt them, but because they can no longer use you the same way. And that truth is uncomfortable. Over the next few months, my circle became smaller. Some friendships disappeared completely. Certain family members became distant. People started calling me changed. And they were right. I had changed. Because exhaustion finally taught me what self-respect should have taught me years earlier. One moment especially stayed with me. A friend called late one night, needing money urgently. Normally, I would transfer it immediately, even if it hurt me financially. But this time, I asked a simple question. Did you call anyone else first? Silence. Then awkward excuses. And suddenly, I understood everything. I wasn't the first person they trusted. I was simply the easiest person to use. That realization broke my heart a little. But it also freed me, because for the first time in my life, I stopped measuring my worth by how useful I was to other people. And honestly, that changes. Slowly, my life became quieter, peaceful. I started resting without guilt, saving money, protecting my energy, learning who genuinely cared about me versus who only cared about what I could provide. And yes, it was lonely sometimes, very lonely. Because setting boundaries often reveals how many relationships survive only through self-sacrifice. But something unexpected happened too. I started becoming happier. Not instantly, but genuinely. I laughed more, slept better, felt lighter emotionally. Because I was no longer carrying everyone else's problems while ignoring my own. And honestly, I wish I had learned this years earlier. Then, one day, my younger cousin visited me unexpectedly. We talked for hours. And before leaving, he said something I'll never forget. You know, seeing you finally stand up for yourself made me realize I need to do the same. That moment hit me deeply. Because I realized boundaries don't only protect you. Sometimes they inspire other people to protect themselves too. Today, I still help people. I still care deeply, but differently. Now, I understand something important. Being kind does not mean destroying yourself for others, and saying no does not make you selfish. Sometimes it's the most necessary thing you'll ever say, because the day I finally stopped allowing people to use me was the day my real life finally began. So, honestly, do you think saying no is selfish or powerful? And what's one moment you finally realized people were taking advantage of your kindness? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Because I think a lot more people are struggling with this than they admit.